Welcome back. Today, we're lifting the hood on one of the biggest shakeups the North American auto industry has seen in years. Stellantis, the force behind Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, and Ram, has slammed production to a halt at key plants across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The trigger? A wave of new tariffs rolled out under the Trump administration. While the policy aimed to shield American manufacturing, the ripple effects have been anything but straightforward. Let's break down just how deep this disruption runs. Factory freeze. Stellantis slams the brakes. The company didn't hesitate. Just days after the tariffs went live, Stellantis suspended operations at its Windsor assembly plant in Canada and the Toluca facility in Mexico, two cornerstones of its North American playbook. Over 4,500 jobs in Windsor, and thousands more across the United States and Mexico, suddenly hung in the balance. Executives described the move as a critical cost-cutting step. With component prices soaring nearly 25%, they compared keeping the lines running to pouring money straight down the drain. The automaker yanked its 2025 financial outlook and launched a sweeping review of capital projects. Meanwhile, losses piled up. By May, reports showed a staggering 64% plunge in operating income and $6 billion in cash burned, most of it tied to U.S. operations. CEO Carlos Tavares was shown the door, marking a major leadership shakeup. But industry watchers believe this is more than damage control. Some see the tariffs as a convenient cover for deeper restructuring. Union leaders agree, accusing Stellantis of poor management while rivals like Ford and GM double down on hiring at home. So is this a reset or a retreat? Global supply gridlock, the weak link revealed. For decades, automakers relied on cross-border synergy, affordable parts from Mexico, cutting-edge tech from Canada, and final assembly in the United States. It was lean, efficient, and reliable, until tariffs jammed the system. A 25% duty followed by a 10% baseline drove costs sky-high, leaving assembly lines idling. Take the Jeep Compass built in Mexico, filled with components from Indiana and Ontario. Its per-unit cost ballooned, forcing Stellantis to stop production, not because buyers disappeared, but because costs spiraled out of control. Nissan pulled back U.S. orders for its Mexico-built QX lineup, while Volkswagen slapped on new import surcharges. The ripple effect spread quickly. Transmission plants in Indiana scaled back, stamping facilities in Michigan slowed, and even the Brampton plant in Canada shelved upgrades. Stellantis COO Antonio Filosa admitted their supply network had become an Achilles heel. Meanwhile, rivals like Mercedes and Volvo are racing to expand their U.S. footprint. Stellantis is shifting truck production stateside to qualify for USMCA tariff relief. But retooling factories and rewriting supplier contracts isn't an overnight solution. Until then, buyers face delivery delays, dealers deal with thin inventories, and investors remain on edge. The Stellantis lineup, Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, and Ram, is facing a full-blown identity crisis as production troubles and thinning inventories pile up. What once stood for rugged dependability and raw American muscle now risks being linked with delays and frustration. Jeep has shut down Compass production completely, while the Wrangler and Grand Cherokee lines are struggling under the weight of expensive imported parts. Some dealers say Jeep inventory has collapsed by as much as 80%, leaving showrooms closer to ghost towns than hubs for off-road enthusiasts. Over at Dodge, slowdowns at the Brampton plant have left Charger and Challenger fans stranded. Canceled custom orders, like a Michigan buyer's lost Scat Pack, are echoed across forums, steadily eroding loyalty. Chrysler isn't faring better. The Windsor-built Pacifica has been pushed to the brink, steering families and rideshare drivers toward Toyota and Honda alternatives. The Chrysler 300? Insiders whisper it may not survive the next fiscal quarter. Ram, meanwhile, can't escape its reliance on cross-border components. In some rural markets, dealers are receiving as few as 4 Ram 1500s a month, pushing up used truck prices and putting contractors in a bind. The hard truth: unless Stellantis accelerates localization, its hard-earned brand equity could grind to a halt. Wallet warning: higher prices and tighter credit. This crisis isn't just corporate drama. It's hitting drivers right where it counts, their wallets. Analysts now project new car prices could rise anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 across the board. The Jeep Compass, once $28,000, now stretches past $32,000. The Ram 1500 has crept over $50,000, and those numbers hit even harder in the finance office. Loan rejections are climbing, even among well-qualified buyers, as lenders tighten up against inflated sticker prices and strained household budgets. Monthly payments are surging, locking first-time buyers out of the market altogether. Used cars aren't offering much relief either. A Dodge Charger that used to go for $24,000 now commands closer to $29,000. For many entry-level shoppers and essential workers, the market is shutting them out entirely. Ford has countered with expanded employee pricing to hold its ground, but experts warn that if tariffs keep escalating, even that won't be enough. Some dealerships report foot traffic down by nearly 40%. Others are pulling back on advertising, shelving expansion projects, and freezing hiring. With R&D stalled and morale dipping, Stellantis risks spiraling into a punishing cycle, rising prices, falling sales, and fading brand loyalty. Electric hopes, geopolitical jolts. Could electrification offer a way out? EVs were once hailed as the safeguard for America's auto industry, built at home, cleaner, and less entangled in fragile global supply chains. But the road forward is proving anything but smooth. At GM's Factory Zero in Detroit, hundreds of workers were laid off after demand for the Hummer EV and Silverado EV dried up. Even with discounts topping $20,000, steep sticker prices, unreliable charging networks, and long delivery times are scaring buyers off. Stellantis isn't immune either. The much-hyped Charger Daytona EV and Pacifica plug-in hybrid have both been sidelined, held back by supply bottlenecks and tariff-weighted components. What was supposed to be the company's next big chapter in electrification is now stuck in neutral, leaving the question, can EVs still steer the industry out of this storm, or will trade turmoil short-circuit the dream entirely? Production paused, strategies scrambled. With assembly lines stalled, Stellantis executives are racing to rework sourcing strategies. Globally, the pressure is mounting. China has slapped a 125% tariff on select U.S. goods, and some cargo shipments are being canceled mid-route due to steep financial losses, shaking confidence in international logistics. To counter, Stellantis is shifting more truck production to U.S. soil and ramping up domestic content to stay compliant under USMCA rules. But retooling plants takes time, and every delay chips away at consumer trust. Even in Europe, optimism is cooling. Automakers like Volvo and Mercedes are pulling back on EV targets, signaling that the electric boom could stall before it ever reaches its peak. With so many moving parts, the big question remains, where does Stellantis go from here? Verdict: reset in motion or reverse in progress. So, is Stellantis laying the groundwork for a strategic reset, or are they simply sliding into reverse? With leadership shakeups, earnings forecasts suspended, and brands under heavy strain, one fact is undeniable. They're standing at a crossroads. The stakes couldn't be higher. Rising prices, shrinking supply, and fading loyalty are pushing buyers to reconsider their choices. Ram, Jeep, Dodge, and Chrysler, once symbols of toughness and trust, are now caught in a storm fueled by global supply chain shocks and unpredictable trade politics. This isn't a minor stumble, it's a wake-up call for the entire auto industry. The only question, will Stellantis adapt with agility and innovation or risk fading into the background? Now over to you. What's your take? Can Stellantis bounce back, or is this the start of a long decline? Would you still buy from Jeep, Ram, or Dodge despite the turmoil? And are you feeling the squeeze of price hikes or shortages in your area? Share your thoughts, frustrations, or gearhead hot takes down in the comments. We go through them all. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve on everything happening in the auto world, don't forget to subscribe and stick around for more deep dives. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next ride. Check out the other videos on screen. There's plenty more to dig into.